Hello and welcome to Horror and Monster Collectibles, where today we are going to be taking a look at NECA's brand new 8-inch Pennywise from the 2017 It movie. So let's go ahead and spin it around and take a closer look. And here is Pennywise out of the packaging. Now you don't get a whole lot of accessories with this. You get obviously Pennywise, and you get a balloon holding hand and an extra head sculpt. Let's go ahead and look at the figure body first, which is just over 8.5 inches tall to the very top of his hair. Let's look at the head sculpt and the paint app on it, which looks very well done. It does have a nice ball joint on here that allows lots of pivot. In fact, I think it's a double ball joint. So you're able to get a good range of motion here with the head. And as far as the clothed figures, some I like, some I don't like. Typically I like them more than a regular figure, just because I like that the joints are hidden. And especially on an outfit like this. On the other Pennywise figures that they have, this collar gets up in the way and you kind of have a hard time doing a lot of head movements. But since this is fabric, it doesn't really inhibit it that much at all. Now as far as the torso, there is the ab crunch, and then you have full rotation all the way around as well. We'll take a look at the tailoring. I know that Pennywise, that was off center, but I don't know if it was off by that much. That seems pretty extreme. But the tailoring looks well done, although they don't have the elaborate stitch work that came down the back, but that is forgivable because it would be really hard for them to pull it off at this price point. As far as shoulder movement, we have 90-degree articulation, and we get good rotation out of this as well. And the cool thing about this outfit is because you have so much material around here, it allows for the figure to move a lot. It doesn't get restricted by the clothing. There is a double jointed elbow and a bicep swivel. And then coming down to the hand, we have obviously full wrist movement and pivot, and actually like good range of pivot on the hand on this one. Typically I feel like I don't usually get that much range of motion. Some of this tailoring is kind of popping up through here, but I don't think it would be much to set it back. I think that just needs to be tucked up in there to kind of get it to lay flat. Come down here through the midsection, and we have good range of motion on the hips, and should have, it doesn't really go too far out as far as splits, but decent enough. And it's just a single jointed knee, but it does allow for 90 degrees of movement. The ankles on here are somewhat limited with just back and forth pivot. There is no side to side movement, which kind of sucks. One drawback on these clothed figures is the bodies are pretty limited as far as posability, I feel like, versus the other figures. Which is kind of unfortunate. I wish that they had the same articulation, but I kind of feel like they cheapen up the bodies because they have just put more money into the outfit. But anyway, he does look good, and he will allow for some pretty sweet poses. Let's go ahead and look at the other head sculpt. Try to get him kind of set in place. This looks good. And again, Pennywise kind of helps NECA out with the googly eyes because he's supposed to have googly eyes, and it's one less thing for NECA to really worry about. They're kind of known for their unintentional googly eyes, but this one can be intentional. But it's a nice sculpt. Nice paint apps. Though mine has a pretty good sized seam here where the hair meets up to it. But still pretty rad. Then we have the balloon, the infamous red balloon, which it's a standard fare. I will say that my standard nitpick still applies, where like I just really wish that there was something more elegant could be done with the seam on these balloons. Although in their defense, if you have it posed just like that, then you don't see the seam. But it would be nice if there was some cleaner way of doing that. Now on this figure, they have gone through the trouble of attaching the string or wire. It's a bendable wire, but we're going to call it the balloon string for you. In the past, it's really been a pain in the butt. Sometimes they don't fit and you have to kind of widen it out just to get the wire down in there, or the hole is too big and the wire just falls down through there on its own. But I like that they're going through the trouble and putting that in there for customers from the factory. So let's go ahead and swap out some stuff. And here is a look at the additional head sculpt on good old Pennywise. Now I was going to do this on camera, and typically they aren't that bad to swap out, but this guy was a pain in the butt. In fact, you can still see the indents on my finger from the hair from pressing down on it. One tip, which I didn't do this time around, is if you heat it up in some hot water, it kind of loosens up the plastic and you're able to slip it down on there if you have a tight joint. But I was kind of determined to pop it on there. And it made me work for it, guys, for sure. So I'm going to deduct points for them on that. Typically that fits a bit better, but it was kind of a bear to get on there. Gonna get like a little bit of pose here. Let's go ahead and swap the head back, and we're going to put in the balloon holding hand. Okay guys, so I have the balloon installed, and I found out just in messing with it that the hole is too large and it lets the string or wire go right down through his hand, which really sucks. I gave him credit, and then I'm taking that credit away because they're back at the same problem where it just wants to fall through. What I had to do is, let's see, show you up close. I ended up having to take the string or wire and kind of go through his pinky here to kind of tighten it up and give it more friction to keep it from wanting to fall down through there. So you guys might find that you have to do that as well. But other than that, he looks good when he's all set up, and I still haven't taken the time to fold the stitching back, tuck it back up underneath the body so that stuff kind of comes down there and lays down better. But it doesn't take too much time to kind of do that. And what I actually do is I take some needle nose and I kind of like use that to push it back up underneath there so to get the fabric to lay down. But anyway, aside from all that, I still think he looks great. And again, this is a pretty cheap price point. I think it's like $35. I can't really remember but somewhere right around in that range. And he looks great, especially like when he's, you know, all set up and displayed, and he'll look good on your shelf. So as always, feel free to leave any questions or comments that you might have on the piece, and I'll be happy to answer them. And feel free to like and subscribe and click the bell for notifications for new videos. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.